The day I lost my life, my fiancée was in someone else's bed calling me drunk. She finally confessed her true feelings out loud. If you were really gone for good, it would be a total relief for both of us, right? Because my genetic illness had been torturing both of us for years on end. I actually perished, just like she wanted. But here is the wild part. She went completely insane, kissing the statue hiding my body, screaming my name. The first night after I passed, Lu Nu-yen didn't even notice I was missing because she never came home. Meanwhile, my body was hidden inside her usual classroom. By the next morning, when Lu Nu-yen pushed the door open, my spirit floated right before her. I could see the heavy exhaustion in her eyes. She had obvious marks of passion on her face, and visible hickeys on her neck. Last night was clearly intense, something I could never actually give her. I also remembered why she didn't come home last night. We had a huge fight, and I even suggested breaking up. Seeing her get so close with Wei Tan Than triggered my insecurities, so I faked an illness just to lure her back home. But when she realized I was perfectly fine, she immediately exploded. She yelled out, "Kai but dad, what is the point of this?" I skipped class for absolutely nothing. Normally so gentle, her face completely darkened this time, jaw clenched tight in pure frustration. Sure, I was wrong this time, but if she hadn't been clinging to Wei Tan Than lately, I wouldn't have joked about my own fading life. I argued right back. Whose fault is it you ignore my texts daily and ban me from visiting your school? Lu Nu-yen took a deep breath, reminding me she and Wei Tan Than were just super busy preparing for an upcoming sculpting competition. Wei Tan Than was the new teacher hired specifically for her. I already disliked him, so I mocked them. "Oh, right," I scoffed. "Now, you two attend classes and eat meals together every single day. People probably think he is your actual boyfriend. Might as well sleep next to him too." To my surprise, she instantly lost all patience. She insisted they were just normal friends and told me to stop overthinking. I stared wide-eyed, and seeing my expression, she finally softened up. "But dat," she sighed. "Can you please be a little understanding? I'm just incredibly exhausted. If you keep acting like this, you will drive me completely crazy." My face instantly darkened. "Lu Nu-yen, you promised I wasn't your burden. Are you finally sick and tired of me?" She gave me this completely unreadable look, then slammed the door shut, tossing back one last phrase. "Just calm yourself down." I stood there frozen in utter confusion, a huge wave of grievance rising in my chest. Why wouldn't she just comfort me? She used to coax me no matter what. This time she just left. Waking up in the pitch black before dawn, I realized she never returned. An intense, nameless anger suddenly flared up deep inside me. I immediately grabbed my phone and texted her a breakup message, checking every 2 minutes. But there was absolutely zero response from her end. Furious, I almost blocked her until Wei Tan Than suddenly messaged me. My face darkened instantly. He had sent a highly provocative video. In the footage, Lu Nu-yen looked totally dazed, surrounded by empty liquor bottles. Wei Tan Than sneered at me. "Glad you broke up. You stressed her out. I'm healthy, and I satisfy her in ways you never could." "Sweet dreams," he added. Pure humiliation flooded right through my chest. He wasn't hiding anything, openly taunting me like that. Going crazy, frantically texted asking where they were. Wei Tan Than just ruthlessly blocked me. Maybe it was the intense stress, but my skin suddenly started burning in pure agony. Fighting the pain, called Lu Nu-yen constantly for 10 whole minutes, but nobody answered. Right as I felt hopeless, the line finally connected. I panicked. "Nu-yen, where are you?" But I only heard her heavy panting. She mumbled, "Kai but dat?" I quickly replied, "Yes, it's me. I shouldn't have argued today, that was my fault. Can you please just come home? I feel terribly sick right now. Please come back to me." She laughed softly, her voice totally exhausted. "Kai but dat," she sighed. "I'm so tired. Stop playing these little games. Honestly, I sometimes think if you just passed away, it would be a total relief." Talk about a gut punch. My hand completely froze. I knew she was drunk and talking nonsense, but my heart still ached. I panicked. "I'm not lying, I swear." Almost crying, I tried to say more, but she already hung up the phone. Right before the call dropped, I clearly heard a man panting, calling her Nu-yen. I lost all courage to dial back, dragging my frail body toward the hospital alone. On my way to the hospital, I suffered a sudden attack and completely lost consciousness. Waking up, I found myself trapped in total darkness. My desperate struggles somehow separated my spirit from my physical body. Floating right out of that statue, I watched Lu Nu-yen giving a lecture to her students, while none of them could see me hovering silently in midair. Everything suddenly feels hazy to me. Am I already gone? I used to come here all the time to watch her teach or just model for her. But honestly, I cannot even remember the last time I actually stepped foot in this place. I think ever since I found out about this sickness, I have not come back here a single time. After class ends, Liu Nhyn clearly has absolutely zero intention of leaving right away. She brings out some fresh clay and starts sculpting something. I can only barely make out a basic human shape. I totally thought she would head home after finishing, but surprisingly, she just falls asleep right there in the sculpture studio. She even handles all 3 of her daily meals right here. I feel pretty angry, wanting to throw a punch right at her face. But my hand just passes completely through her body. Is being around me really that exhausting for her? So much that she does not even want to go home? I just sit there, keeping her company for a really long time. She stands in front of the students teaching, while I remain trapped inside that statue in the corner, wasting away and completely falling apart. I do not know if it is just my imagination, but I have not contacted Liu Nhyn. She honestly does not seem very comfortable either. Especially lately, she has been checking her phone way more frequently than she usually does. Right when I have almost completely forgotten about the actual existence of a guy named Tan. Then he suddenly shows up again. Check out this timing. Maybe Liu Nhyn is just way too exhausted lately, but she actually passes out right in front of him. I follow them all the way to the hospital, feeling incredibly worried inside. But after just a little while, I realize my anxiety is actually completely ridiculous. Liu Nhyn slowly opens her eyes, immediately met with the super excited expression on Tanthen's face. Liu Nhyn totally misunderstands the situation, comforting him instead, saying she is fine and probably just has low blood sugar. Tanthen lowers his head slightly, his eyelashes trembling, showing a hint of real joy between his brows. Then he tells her that after their last time, she actually got pregnant. Tanthen hands the pregnancy test results right over to her, looking at her with eyes full of intense expectation. My eyes go wide, feeling like I fell into an ice pit, freezing from my heart to my toes. Liu Nhyn's hand shakes, swallowing hard with the completely blank expression on her face. Her voice trembles as she asks him, "Didn't you say you already took precautions for this?" Tanthen notices her expression too, furrowing his brows slightly, his voice sounding just a little bit awkward. He admits he did, but unexpected accidents still happen anyway. He tells Nhyn since things are already like this, she should just keep the baby. Did she not always want a child? Liu Nhyn's fingertips tremble slightly, her face turning incredibly serious. I just feel my heart being sliced open, wishing I could scream right in her face. Liu Nhyn, is this really how you treat our child? We actually used to have a little baby too. I always really loved little kids, so when I first found out she was pregnant, I was happier than absolutely anyone else, even having a name completely picked out already. But right at that specific time, Liu Nhyn's career was just taking off, and we really did not have the proper financial stability to welcome a baby. In the end, we had to let that child go. I was heartbroken into absolute silence. She comforted me, saying we would have another chance later, but then my illness took a major turn for the worse, and the doctor advised against having kids. Liu Nhyn spaces out completely. Tanthen calls her several times before she snaps back, pressing her lips together while quietly watching him. She says this baby is an accident, and they should let it go. Her voice is totally calm, showing zero attachment to this child whatsoever. Hearing that answer makes me feel slightly better. At least she still has a little conscience left. But Tanthen is not happy about it at all. You can clearly see he is pretty unhappy with that response, his tone carrying a fair bit of genuine confusion. He tells her keeping the baby only benefits her, asking why. She refuses to understand. Besides, she and I cannot last forever anyway, since I am clearly just not going to make it. Furthermore, even if we had kids, the sickness would just pass down. He reminds her. She admitted being exhausted, so why keep trying to hold on? If it were not for that guy, KBT, you would never be this miserable right now. He calls me nothing but a burden, begging her to just finally choose him. Liu Nhyn stays completely silent, while I am absolutely stunned, because she does not argue back at all, effectively calling me a burden. It makes me wonder, has she secretly felt I was just a burden to her this whole time? I suddenly understand everything clearly. That day just casually made a passing comment, and she lost control completely. All because I actually accidentally hit the exact sore spot hiding deep in her heart. My heart suddenly turns completely freezing cold. Just do not worry, I will not be your heavy burden anymore. Ultimately, Liu Nhy and still stubbornly refuses to agree to keep the baby. The two of them argue, parting ways on a pretty unhappy note. After Y10th leaves, Liu Nhy just zones out, staring blankly at her phone. I have absolutely no idea what she is even thinking about. A few days later, that clay statue in Liu Nhy's hands gradually takes a clear shape. I'm surprised to discover she is actually sculpting my face. I let out a cold laugh. She has the energy to make fake statues, but will not come home to see me once. Does she really not find this strange? I normally call her like 8 times a day, yet lately, have not reached out once, while she just sits around here sculpting. If she bothered to check, she would definitely find my actual body hidden right inside that studio corner statue. It has been days. I do not even know how badly ruined it is by now. Just a few more days, and that awful smell is going to spread everywhere. After the final class of the month, Liu Nhy keeps one student behind. No one has been around to clean up lately. The student seems to remember something and teases her with a smile. Teacher, you should really go home and make up with K. Sleeping in this classroom every single night is definitely not a good look for you. Honestly, all the kids around here already know about me anyway. Liu Nhy flashes this totally helpless look and tells him to just mind his own business. She walks right out of the classroom, and the kid starts cleaning up. Got to admit, the guy actually cleans pretty thoroughly, wiping down every single statue with total care. I feel kind of helpless watching him scrub it so thoroughly. If he accidentally sees something he shouldn't, it is going to scar the poor kid for life. Speak of the devil. The student walks right up to my sculpture, frowning hard, and starts muttering out loud about why the surface looks so weirdly wet and damp today. I turn to look, realizing there really is liquid seeping straight out from inside. The student stares blankly at the ceiling for a second, hesitates, then calls Liu Nhy. She hasn't gone far. He tells her, "Teacher, there is a statue in here dripping wet. Do you want to come take a look at it?" Liu Nhy completely brushes it off, blaming the recent heavy rain and humidity, and just tells the kid to wipe it dry. Seeing how certain she is, the student does not overthink it at all, finishes up the daily cleaning, and finally heads out. I actually feel pretty disappointed. If she had just come back, she might have found out the truth, and I would not be stuck deteriorating away inside this thing. The exact moment the student locks that door, this sharp, undeniable force suddenly pulls me right back to Liu Nhy's side. I see her holding this super eye-catching bag of grilled skewers, and looking closer, they are entirely made up of my absolute favorite foods. Looks like she is planning to use this food to win me back. But I cannot even eat anymore. Because of my health issues, the doctor actually told me to cut way back on all of this stuff. Anyway, but before finding out about my illness, I honestly used to love eating street snacks. Later on, whenever I got upset with her, she would always bring out those skewers as a peace offering. With food tempting me like that, I always ended up forgiving her pretty fast. But this time, your trick is not going to work. Liu Nhy, you're way too late. She opens the door, and the room inside is completely pitch black. I can clearly see her back stiffen for a second. She sits down on the sofa, unlocks her phone, and starts typing out a message. "Are you at your mom's house? Come home. I was wrong. I brought you the grilled skewers you love." She sends the message out, but she gets absolutely zero response back. Liu Nhy's face visibly fills with annoyance, her slender fingers typing quickly across the screen. "We are definitely not breaking up over this. I was just drunk that day. Promise I will fix things between us." But this message also sinks into total, heavy silence. Since I always used to run back to my mom's house whenever we fought, she does not overthink it much. She rubs her forehead, clearly getting irritated now, sits totally blankly on the sofa for a while, then suddenly stands up and throws all the food into the trash. KBT, if you think you are so smart, then just never come back. I pout a little. Why waste perfectly good food? Looking up at her, my own invisible tears start falling completely on their own. Well, I'm capable, because this time I'm definitely never coming back. She turns to her room, but right at that exact second, the phone on the table starts ringing loud. I clearly see a flash of joy in her eyes, but it instantly vanishes the second she sees the caller's name. It is my mom calling her. Liu Nhy, is BT with you? Why am I calling his phone, but absolutely no one is answering? Liu Nhy looks totally stunned for a second, hesitating for a long moment before finally answering. "No, he didn't go to find you?" After hanging up, her eyes just go completely empty, standing right there in total frozen shock. Realizing I am actually gone, that rising panic in her eyes is completely impossible to hide. And she starts frantically calling me over and over, but the phone just keeps ringing endlessly. She stumbles out to check the security footage. Rushing so fast she actually almost trips along the way. The cameras prove it. That night, after I left the house, I never came back. Wandering alone in the dead of night? You know how this goes. Combining those two things together never leads to a happy ending, especially since 2 whole weeks have passed by now. Liu Nhyun's face turns entirely paper white, her body shaking completely out of control. Impossible. How could this actually be real? He has to just be trying to scare me. She shakes her head, stumbling backward, her mind completely chaotic and her eyes refusing to accept this harsh reality. Not long after, my mom arrives with the police. Liu Nhyun is still frantically dialing my number, like she cannot even see anyone else around her. My mom marches right up with furious red eyes, and a heavy, devastating slap lands hard. Liu Nhyun snaps back to reality. Facing my mom's absolute furious glare, she screams, "Is this the way you promised me you were going to take care of BT? Missing for half a month, and you had absolutely no idea. What kind of fiancé even are you? Give my son back to me right now." My mom almost lunges right at her, but luckily the police pull her back in time. Liu Nhyun bites her lip, eyes going completely dark as she endlessly mutters apologies. Finally, based on the evidence, the police ultimately conclude that there is an extremely high chance I'm just permanently gone. My mom is in so much agony she almost faints. Liu Nhyun snaps awake, shaking her head with an incredibly firm, determined tone. "Impossible. BT is definitely just hiding somewhere. I will go find him." She aggressively grits out every single word. "I am finding him myself." I refuse to believe it without undeniable proof. The police just watch Liu Nhyun walk away, shaking their heads in total disbelief. My mom looks at the police with utterly pleading eyes, then collapses straight to her knees. "Please, officers, no matter what it takes, find my son right now." The police quickly help my mom up, nodding and promising to do everything. My nose stings. I can hardly bear to watch this. She raised me all on her own, going through so much hardship. If I'm truly gone forever, the sheer heartbreak would absolutely crush her. I rush right back over to Liu Nhyun. She tracked the security footage to the exact spot they took me, but that alleyway has absolutely zero cameras, so she ends up knocking on every single door. By then, it's nearly midnight though, and everyone is already asleep. Liu Nhyun stumbles back to the alley's entrance. Her eyes are completely red. After a long moment, she suddenly crouches down, sobbing wildly. Clutching her phone, she blames herself. "Kaiba dat, where are you? Please come back. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have been so angry. It's all my fault. If I had just trusted you back then, if I had answered your desperate call for help, would everything be completely different right now?" Liu Nhyun completely breaks down, collapsing right onto the ground, sobbing uncontrollably like a lost child. I watch her in total silence, an endless wave of sadness rushing through me. Even if she was just trying to scare me before, there is simply no way we can ever go back to how things were. Sooner or later, I'm bound to uncover the actual truth about her. A relationship can usually survive countless emotional storms and still manage to heal. But the very second a third person steps into the picture, that bond shatters completely, becoming absolutely impossible to ever salvage again. She lost me, the guy who loved her most. I lean right by her ear, whispering over and over again, "Go check the classroom right now. I really don't want to look even more pathetic here. After all, I actually used to be a pretty decent small-time model." Yet 2 whole days pass by without a single solid clue popping up. Just when absolutely everyone starts thinking this is going to turn into some permanently unsolved, completely hopeless mystery case, a sudden phone call rings for Liu Nhyun. On the other end of the line, a student's voice is trembling uncontrollably. "Teacher, there's this incredibly weird statue sitting in our classroom. It's leaking this dark fluid, and the smell is overwhelmingly awful, exactly like decaying remains." The authorities immediately arrive at the scene, entirely locking down the area. They clear out every single bystander before calling in the forensics team. I watch Liu Nhyun's fingertips trembling just a bit. The strange statue is finally cracked open, revealing a tragic figure tucked away inside. A face completely warped and disfigured beyond any possible recognition. As they lift it out, pieces of the ruined form are still constantly falling apart. My mom takes one look and lets out a devastated cry. She screams my name, collapsing instantly to the floor. Only a mother knows. even though I ended up looking exactly like this. She recognized me instantly on her very first glance. I look over at her, my heart just overflowing with pure agony. It's just so ugly, truly, incredibly ugly. My once genuinely handsome face has somehow been reduced to this awful, unrecognizable state. Lu Nu Yen is the only one left standing there staring, though she looks completely ready to collapse too. Her voice shakes wildly as she asks who exactly is he. The officer gives her a deep, somewhat pitying look, clearly hesitant to speak. Based on our initial assessment, the clothes and build of this male figure heavily match Kai Bud Dat. We can't rule out the possibility that it's Kai Bud Dat, but we still need official testing results. Lu Nu Yen stumbles heavily, coming dangerously close to passing out. She suddenly bursts into a frantic laugh, tears completely flooding her eyes. Stop talking nonsense. How could this possibly be my Bud Dat? My Bud Dat is definitely just hiding somewhere out there. So don't you even try to trick me like this. She bolts out of the classroom like she's trying to escape reality. I can practically feel the sheer terror radiating off her. She's utterly terrified. That person is actually me. She refuses to accept the cold, hard reality that I'm completely gone. But I know for a fact she already recognized me. When my arm was pulled out, she definitely saw the engagement ring drop onto the floor. She just completely refuses to admit it out loud to anyone. I seriously don't get it. Didn't you always say that if I was finally gone, you would feel totally liberated? You're not ready for this next detail. The forensics expert adds that when Kai Bud Dat was locked inside, he stayed conscious, struggling for 10 agonizing hours before fading away. While the remains are taken away for testing, Lu Nu Yen keeps endlessly searching for me. Except this time, she just clutches her phone, desperately calling my number on repeat. In just a few short days, she's grown so fragile you'd barely even recognize her. The test results are quickly announced. Both my mom and Lu Nu Yen are called to the morgue. When the expert reads out the match, my mom passes out yet again. Lu Nu Yen just looks completely dazed, shaking her head endlessly. But the brutal truth is right there. Even if she hates it, she has to believe it. Right then, suddenly recall the sheer horror of being trapped inside that statue. Unable to move, unable to scream for help. Just an overwhelmingly cold, completely suffocating nightmare. That kind of agonizing pain was practically impossible to endure. Based on the official estimated timeline, when I finally slipped away, Lu Nu Yen was actively teaching her class, meaning I literally faded out right in front of her eyes. And she had absolutely no idea. Lu Nu Yen totally shatters, stepping right up to my newly restored figure. She drops to her knees, weeping. But Dad, you were actually beside me this entire time. With overwhelming solid evidence finally gathered, the culprit is swiftly arrested. It's a remarkably young guy. My heartbroken mom angrily demands to know why he took my future away, but his cold gaze simply shifts directly over to Lu Nu Yen instead. The motive behind this terrible crime makes you sigh. He used to be one of Lu Nu Yen's students. Just because she failed him, forcing him to pay for a retake, he harbored this incredibly massive, twisted grudge. He shifted his revenge target straight onto me, claiming he wanted Lu Nu Yen to truly feel his personal pain. In the end, he was handed down the ultimate maximum penalty. My mom stares weakly at my remains, forcing a gentle smile. She whispers, "Son, I know you loved looking your best. Do not worry, I will make sure you leave this world looking absolutely perfect." I reach through the empty void, holding my mom. "I love you." Lu Nu Yen just stands there silently for ages. I have no clue what is running through her mind. I thought I could finally leave, but somehow end up following her right back to our house. She gazes blankly around those little corners where I always used to love curling up. Finally, she steps into the study room and suddenly starts packing all my things away. Then a thought hits me. I actually hid a special painting inside this very room. Suddenly, Lu Nu Yen stops exactly what she is doing. She pulls out that exact painting, carefully tucked inside the secret compartment. I actually studied art as well, specifically majoring in classic oil painting. But because those heavy paint fumes could easily make my terrible illness way worse, she never allowed me to paint at all. What she never knew was that I kept painting in secret while she worked. I was terrified of suddenly passing away one day, so I really wanted to leave behind a tiny trace proving I actually existed in this world. The moment she flips that canvas around, a perfectly clear line of text reveals itself. "My one wish is to stay by your side." Right beneath that, there is another tiny line. "Every single time my body hurts so badly, I just call for you. Seeing how exhausted you look, I tell myself, fine, just endure the pain a bit longer. I know, I am the only person you have left in this world. If I am truly gone, you are not allowed to be sad." I never once told her that I actually thought about giving up on everything completely. But Lu Nu Yen lost her parents long ago, so I always worried that if I left, she would have absolutely no one left by her side. So even though every single flare-up brought unbearable pain, I fought hard just for her sake. Finishing those words, Lu Nu Yen completely breaks down into heavy, sobbing tears. She sits in that room for ages until a sudden knock hits the door. The moment it opens, Wei Tan Than is completely startled by the sight of Lu Nu Yen. Her eyes are pure red, her entire face totally exhausted, looking basically like a completely different person compared to her past self. Wei Tan Than acts incredibly sorrowful, getting ready to step inside. Lu Nu Yen, I already heard everything about your tragic situation. Nu Yen, please try not to grieve too much. Lu Nu Yen raises her hand to block him, stepping back quietly with an incredibly hollow stare. Wei Tan Than tells her why act like this. The past is already gone. You really need to start looking forward to the future. You are clearly not doing well right now, so I can step up to take care of you. You always cared for everyone else. Now, you should finally experience being pampered yourself. After a little more time passes, we can move out and live together happily. You are still carrying the child of Lu Nu Yen coldly cuts him off, the fiery anger in her eyes looking like it might actually explode. Wei Tan Than clearly never expected her to react like that at all. His eyes instantly turn red as he loudly screams out Lu Nu Yen. How could you possibly treat me this cruelly? Lu Nu Yen coldly fires back. I said get out. Her sharp, dagger-like stare makes Wei Tan Than panic and stumble back 2 entire steps. He instantly drops his fake caring act, aggressively throwing out a harsh threat to just wait and see, before quickly turning around and storming off. Lu Nu Yen slowly returns to that study room where everything was just completely wiped clean. Honestly, I fear nobody will ever come to study in this quiet space again. But here is where things get genuinely terrifying. That night, she quickly molds a clay statue modeled after my figure, this time crafting an entirely complete human body. Right after that, she pulls out my engagement ring and slides it onto the clay finger. Standing in the pitch-black darkness, I clearly hear her quiet voice echoing out, "But dat, let us finally get married." A massive chill instantly shoots straight down my spine in absolute horror. Lu Nu Yen has become completely and utterly bizarre. She truly lost her mind. In the middle of the night, she sneaks in and steals my empty physical vessel. I watch with my own eyes as she gently places me inside that hollow clay statue. She smiles while making adjustments, gently stroking the statue's face, her own expression revealing pure, twisted satisfaction. Meanwhile, I am practically losing my own mind. How could she possibly do something this deeply messed up? I seriously cannot even begin to accept this reality. This girl is basically a total creep, an absolute, genuine lunatic. I never once imagined that those past warnings about her were actually going to be the terrifying truth. It turns out that among these art students, there really are some people dealing with unbelievably severe mental sickness like this. Still, I absolutely cannot stand the horrific way she is treating my physical vessel. Why on earth can she not just let my spirit rest in total peace? Hiding deep in the shadows, she uses her fingertips to trace the eyebrows, staring at the clay eye so carefully, acting exactly like she is truly facing the real me. She speaks so gently, "But dat, I've already helped fix up your beautiful body, so please stop being angry. Just open your eyes and look at me one more time, please." But the clay statue gives zero reaction. She smiles softly, leaning in incredibly close to whisper, "But dat, I love you." Right after that, she plants a direct kiss onto the statue's lips. I'm completely losing my sanity here, feeling absolutely, deeply disgusted. Thank goodness for this next part. Before she does anything crazier, the police finally arrive at her door. Standing inside that crowd, my mom is shaking with pure fury, screaming loudly, "You absolute monster! Where exactly did you hide Badat?" Lu Nu Yen just coldly glances at everyone, a terrifying smirk twisting her lips, before turning to stare directly at that clay statue with eyes overflowing with pure tenderness. My precious Badat is sitting right here in front of me. Everyone is completely stunned to the core, staring at her like she is an entirely different creature. Without wasting another single word, the police instantly prepare to make their move. A group of officers rushes forward quickly, fully intending to grab hold of her. But right at that moment, Lu Nu Yen frowns, hugging the statue tight and backing toward the window. "You cannot steal my Badat away, he completely belongs to me." Everyone stands completely still, just watching carefully, nobody daring to move. In that incredibly bizarre atmosphere, Lu Nu Yen hugs me tight, laughing and crying all at once. Finally, she gently rests her hand on the statue and whispers, "But Dad, I am here to take you home." Right after that, before a single person can even react, she grabs the statue and jumps straight out the nearest window. Terrified screams echo everywhere. I watch crimson marks bloom across the ground below, but unfortunately, Lu Nu-yen does not perish. Taking a 4-story fall simply does not end things right away. Her luck is absolutely terrible though. A shattered spine, half her body completely paralyzed, and she even gets charged with violating his physical remains. My mother later brings in the absolute best psychiatric doctors around to treat her. Eventually, they finally manage to restore her sanity, forcing her to remember every single terrible thing she has actually done. She tries to end it all multiple times. One time, my mother rushes over, slaps her incredibly hard, and screams out, "Lu Nu-yen, do you really dare to leave us? How do you have the face to meet my son? You cannot perish. You must live exactly like this forever, suffering for the rest of your life." Lu Nu-yen stays silent, and from then on she drops all plans of ending things. Later, YT Than comes to visit her, telling her, "Lu Nu-yen, I will definitely take good care of you, so please marry me." He uses the unborn child in her belly as leverage, and eventually, he easily tricks her into signing those marriage papers. YT Than crazily exploits Lu Nu-yen and her reputation to make massive amounts of money, yet he never bothers to care for her properly. Lu Nu-yen grows much weaker that was the exact moment Liu Ruyan finally woke up to reality. The guy had only been after her status and her money from the very beginning. A long time passes, then one night, completely starving, Liu Ruyan drags herself out of bed and crawls right out into the freezing streets. The winter cold was brutal, and she ended up fading away right there on the street. Right before the end, she looked at me, it's moving soundlessly. It breaks my heart. A once famous sculptor meeting such a tragic end, just left out on the street to rot like absolute garbage. Then a sudden flash, a bright white light appears out of nowhere. I finally understand it. My time to leave has actually come. I step forward, but then a sweet voice calls out from behind, "Papa." I spin right around. A little girl stands in the distance, just smiling at me. The tears instantly start pouring down my face. Because if my child had actually made it, she would probably be exactly this big by now. I walk over, gently take her tiny hand, and tell her we should go together. Hand in hand, we step forward into whatever comes next. We will definitely meet again. Music plays.